Hey guys, Harry here, back again with another Bricklaying vlog. This is part 4 and the last part on this topping off a garden wall series. Sort of mini series as I do all through these Bricklaying vlogs. I hope everyone had a good Monday. It's the fucking worst one, we've got it out of the way. And now we're on to straight good weather through the rest of this week. Especially where I am, I think down south we've got a bit of rain coming. If I heard correctly on the radio today, but it's give a heat wave where I am, and we're off this finally, which is nice. Obviously, with me having to top basically someone else's wall for the most part, this panel you can see me doing here is a panel which I didn't build. I only did the last couple of course on, and the reason why I don't like topping other people's walls off is because they don't take them high enough. And it requires, quite a few bricks being laid on the scaffold, these are diabolical, to be honest. I really underestimated how low these scaffolds were today. You can see how high I am compared to that pillar top, and just imagine me laying that today, which I had to lay 4 of them, and it was a nightmare. But we ended up getting it done. We started a bit later today as well. I was a bit foggy-headed this morning and couldn't get out of bed. So we ended up setting off at about 8 o'clock. Got to site around about 25 to 9. Got his gobbo and got started. By the time I'd got it up onto the scaffold and onto a spot board, it was 9 o'clock. And then we worked from 9 till 12. Well, I worked 9 till 11:45, but then my old man was pointing up a pillar top I'd done, so I had wandered over to one of my mates and had a sit down, had a chat for a bit, rang the missus, and then we went for snap at 12. I got out about 1:45, and then I worked through till about 4 o'clock. Got delayed a couple of times. Ground workers who were working near us kept nicking my gobbo, and then the old man said we ain't got enough to finish, so sillily didn't realise how much I actually needed, and I went off back to the silo with 2 buckets in my hand and went and got 2 buckets. Turned out I had enough to finish. So because in the morning my old man said I got too much gobbo, and then he said in the afternoon I ain't got enough. So I was a bit pissed off because fucking mixed messages, communication were off in the morning, and then he were being morbid because it's always a Monday, he gets morbid, so it was well annoying. But apart from that, it'd been alright. I got about 12 metres of tile brick on edging. I already had about 4 metres of tiles already done, and then I had a couple of pillar tops tiled already done as well from last week. So I had to do 4 pillar tops today, put the brick on edge on them, and then straight 12 metres of brick on edge normally. It was pretty easy, you know what I mean? I took it steady. We only doing 3 hours in the morning, and then we did 4 hours, 3 hours, probably 3.5 counting, not messing about, 6.5 hour day again. It's, can't fault it, to be honest, for what we got done. As you can see, obviously I'm just laying tiles here, and we had a couple of the panels were out of level, because obviously taking over someone else's work, you can only level it up so much in a few course. And then the last panel that I built was level with the house, but it didn't match in with the existing wall that had already been built. They didn't think to gauge from the house. They just sort of ran it independently, so I had to do a bit of picking up on the tiles to make mine on the tile course, which obviously don't match in with the house. I had a bit of picking up to do there, so I could match it in with a pillar / house at the other side. So it was a little bit of a fiddle, but we got it done all right. It's tile brick on edge. What do you expect? It's not fantastic work, especially stood off a milk crate on a 2-board scaffold that's I can barely fit down anyway. I'm not the smallest of blokes, so even any sort of just minor inconvenience in tight space, and it makes it feel right cramped for myself. So when it comes to doing these, I've changed the way I do them considerably from how I did them a few years ago. Obviously, I lay all my bricks frog up now, obviously doing pick and dip. I had a few guys in comments last video telling me it's rough, I get rid of doing pick and dip, and And the only reason I do it isn't to be some sort of trendy pick and dip guy. It's just, it's fucking easier. It's just easier. And guys who don't do it will obviously not know that it's that much easier. And if you've only done it, you know, a few times, you'll think it's a pain in the arse. But when you get really good at it, and, you know, proficient and faster than you can do, you know, and you get faster than you are traditionally, because when you start pick and dip, you won't be as fast, you know, doing pick and dip as you are traditionally. You'll be slower, you know, in a lot of respects, because you'll be, you know, just getting used to it. But when you get, you know, faster than your traditional speed, you'll just think to yourself, why would I go back to doing it, you know, slower, with more movement and more effort in a day, and lay more bricks? You wouldn't. There's no reason to go back to laying a brick, you know, in the traditional style. So that's the reason I do it. It's because it's just easier, and I can't afford at the moment to, you know, make things harder. Not because I don't want to get as much work done. That's not my point. It's just that I've got a 2-year-old at home. I've got 4 cats. You know, we're trying for another child. So it's going to be have a busy household for the next, you know, 5, 6, 7 years. You know, onwards, next 10 years. It's going to be fucking hard work. So I haven't got any extra energy to expend at work than I have to. That's a big reason why, you know, there's, you know, there'll be guys on YouTube, you know, there's not a lot of guys on YouTube with big, you know, a lot of kids and full-time families. You know, it's hard going. You know, you've got to reserve yourself, you know, reserve energy from work to for your home life. I think you know, working's the easy part. You know, going home and dealing with everything at home is the hard bit. That's the fucking bit that matters, and that's the bit that'll take all your energy out of you. Working should be the easiest. I know there's a lot of guys who leave it all on site, putting 100% effort, attacking it every day, but it's just not sustainable for most of us. A lot of guys watching, you know, I don't know what my demographic is specifically. I presume there's a lot of working guys, a lot of tradesmen watching. There might be a lot of guys who are sort of close to retirement, or guys with families. So you'll know what I mean. You know, it's you know, it's less, you know, what I'm talking about is less sort of tailored towards, you know, young single guys. You know, you can fucking leave it all at work. You can work as long as you want. You know, a lot of times you don't have a lot of outgoings living on your own or with your parents and stuff. So, you know, you can fucking cram it in at work and fucking smash it and then go on. You know, get a fucking takeaway and fall asleep at 8:30 every night if you want. You know, but for the majority of us, you know, we don't have that luxury. I don't want to be going to bed at 8:30 every night. I know a lot of you guys don't want to be doing. You want to enjoy your time after work at home. You know, whether it's with a family, missus, with your boyfriend, alternative lifestyle. I do not judge whatsoever. It is it's completely up to the individual. But boyfriends, girlfriends, wives, husbands, you know, you want to be enjoying your time after work and not killing yourself every day at work. So it should be the easiest bit. So that is why, you know, pick and dip for me, and making life easier with tables, you know, ways of loading out, you know, ways of working. It's all important, you know, for longevity, you know, protecting your body from excessive stresses, protecting your physical and mental health, you know. So anyway, so I get banging on about some right off topic shit, don't I? But anyway, we'll carry on with the topic at hand. We're doing with brick and edge bit now. Obviously, before when I was doing the tiles, you saw me just using a level. That's all I do. I use a 6 foot level. A lot of the time these panels are only about 8 foot in length between the pillars, so normally a 6 foot level more or less covers it. I think they're about 8 to 10 foot in length, so if you're so bothered, you can always get a bit of tilers lat. They're pretty straight bit of tilers lat or CLS. Sort of extend your level a bit. You know, if you're unsure about it, your tile's curving a bit. But just if you eye it down, the biggest thing is use your eyes. You know, topping walls off is a bit of an art. It's not an exact science. Use your eye. Look if your tiles are straight. Look for your overhang at either side of the tile. Obviously, if you've seen me doing these, the brick on edge, the tiles, even when I was laying them, you didn't see me lay the bottom course of tiles, but even when I'm laying them, I don't use a tape measure. I just look. I use my eye to make sure there's an equal lap at each side. Obviously, if you're just starting out an apprentice or you're a bit less experienced, you see guys using tape measures on the tiles, and the only thing we're doing that is, which I wouldn't recommend, is that every tile is slightly different length. So you can get a bit, a bit OCD with tape measure, and you can end up, going overboard when you could just centre it, make sure there's equal lap at each side, and then obviously when you're laying the tile, obviously if you've got to level your wall out a bit, you're gonna have a thicker bed at one side than you are at another. If your wall's dead on level, like it should be, I recommend on your bottom course a 10mm bed, just so to give your tiles somewhere to move. In winter when it's wet, I do like to have more of a smaller bed, but you get to the point as if you're just putting a small bed on all the time, it's harder to joint underneath. So a 10mm bed's easier to joint. It's easier to fill a 10mm bed under your tiles, and then obviously on top of your second, on top of your first course of tiles, when you put your second course on, I like to normally, in winter, I just sort of skim each side at tile and just slide it on, with a thin bed, like a 5mm bed. And then in summer, when you've got a bit more leeway with the gobbo, tiles are bone dry and everything, I just put another 10mm spread on. It's easier to fill when it's easier to joint when it's 10mm. When it's 5mm, it's ideal getting a 5mm bed under them when it's wet, so it's less mortar to smudge the tile. But with my new sort of initiative of using the sponge, which you've seen in multiple videos, you can really clean them tiles up easily, nicely with a sponge, or even, like the sort of glove, winter sort of glove I'm wearing. So now when it comes to brick on edge, I like to each end of the brick on edge tail out, 4 bricks manually. I always make sure I get my surface level on the tiles, and if it isn't quite level, which it normally is, but if it isn't, obviously then I have to bed up one side at brick on edge, or squeeze down the other side, whichever suits. And then we just, I tail out 4 bricks each side, with a little level. Just eye them again. I don't get tape measure out, measuring, the overhang at each side. Eye them in, bricks in the centre, range a little 4-course brick on edge, dead man, and then just run them in between. Some guys put a line on each side of the tile, each side of the brick on edge, should I say, and it's not necessary, especially with the sort of brick on edge I'm laying. A lot of the time they do vary in size. I could see it maybe being more beneficial if you're using a engineering brick for your topping bricks. These are only soft reds. These are Leicester reds. There's a few different types, but your soft red banding brick, we use these for the tops. They're a lot easier to work with, to be honest, and they make a lot neater job. As you can see, a nice little brush with them. I find a brush works a lot better when finishing these off after jointing. I find like with them being quite a dry brick as well, they can pull the sponge can pull the mortar out of them, especially with there being more mortar on show. So I like to brush them. I find it gives it a nicer finish. I would probably recommend sponging if you're using an engineering topping brick, which is probably more common for traditional English garden walls. But apart from that, it's they're a pretty easy brick to lay. Obviously, you can't really see too well from this angle how I'm buttering it, but I always fill the frog and then just leave enough off to sort of butter 3 sides of the brick. I don't butter the bottom side of the brick on edge because that's where your bed is. When I do the bed, I just sort of do like a little bit of a flat spread, make 3 grooves, 3 like tramline grooves in the mortar, and then every brick I scrape off a channel right up to where the brick on edge is going, and that stops. That makes it easier to press the brick on edge and get a 10mm joint. Whereas if you leave the spread right up to the brick and the next brick on edge, and you don't put a groove there to remove some of that mortar, you're fighting with the brick on edge every brick to get it into place. That bottom arris gets gets sandwiched in gobbo, and it's harder to get your brick on edge nice and level and 10mm joint, because you can easily open up and tighten up on these. You can see in the background I've got a Brickmate tape, dead easier than remembering your 75 times table, just nicer to work with, and you can always keep checking, which I do. I tend to check every 6 bricks. I tend to just go as normal until the middle, and then when I've got about 12, 13, 14, 15 bricks to left to lay, I'll start tightening up or squeezing. It's probably more, I probably emphasise doing this more often with engineering bricks, because the Harrises are more precise. You can see if you're going to be chalk ice jointing them, whereas these reds you can get away with doing a few bit thicker joints here and a few thin ones you can paint them on. So I recommend doing it more often with the engineerings, and they can wildly vary in thickness as compared to these soft reds. Obviously using the 4 foot length 6 foot level to make sure the back Harris is completely flush and it's running level. You're using your line at the front to maintain your straightness and your level, but obviously there's two sides to a brick and edge, and that's why I use the 6 foot level for the back side as opposed to putting a line on both sides, which then can interfere with one line or another. You could probably put a backside line on and tingle it a few mil off the line, and then just to keep an eye on your backside of your brick and edge. But then you've got the issue of catching the brick as you're moving it in, and there you see me scraping that little channel from the last brick to allow me the brick to sit in nicely. Obviously it's a bad angle here, and I'm having to keep zooming in and out the clips for you to see me buttering the brick up and stuff, but I was just sort of working with what I had at the time, so that's the reason you're seeing it how it is. And as you can see, I have to step down here because I can't fit a spot board, and I'm stepping down from the milk crate, getting another brick, walking to the spot board, buttering. Mega inefficient here, but it's just the way I had to do it with this particular panel, because we didn't have, just where it was situated, we didn't have space to put a board, and obviously I had my camera propped up on a few bricks as well, which was taken away from where I could have put my spot board and stuff. So it's all, I do like normally as well when I'm laying these, obviously because of the video I do keep moving the level off the brickwork, but normally see this 6 foot level here, it'll just stay permanently on the brickwork. I'll just move it up and down as I go. It's just one of them, I was doing a lot of it for the video. I do spend time setting the camera up and stuff. Probably takes away about 15-20 minutes out of my day to do it all. Probably not even that much, to be honest, probably 15 minutes out of a day. But it's worth it for making these videos. It's one thing I love to do every day. It's made me more passionate about my job than I ever have been. So, and it's nice to get feedback from you guys. I've always liked making videos, to be quite honest. Whether it's been me lifting videos for my powerlifting, whether it's been bricklaying videos or doing my gaming stuff when I was younger. But it seems at the moment, people like watching me lay bricks. So I'm doing these videos because I've got the following at the moment who likes to watch it. So that's why I'm making these videos. Apart from that, that's the sort of topic for today. It's been a bit of a mixed one. Not really had a topic as such, as sort of normally talking about the work. I'm trying to think of any other tips I've got. A lot of the tips are situational, whereas the weather can dictate how you build these, but in general I like to get all the tiles on first. It's not so much of a big deal in summer, but in winter it's an absolute must. You've got to do your tiles first. If that means you don't even lay a brick on edge that day, that's just how it is. Obviously this was someone else's wall, and normally if I'm building these walls, I take them right up to that last red height, and normally I've only got a red to put on, or one brick in a red, and just building the pillars round. So I'll leave a lot less work on these in general, so where I can sort of get all the pillars up to height and all the panels up to height with some tiles on in the first day, and then I've only got 1 day of putting tiles and brick on edge on, so you've only got sort of 2 days topping a standard 3 or 4 panel wall off when I take my brickwork up to an ideal top height. Sometimes I would like to put the reds on when I'm building the boundary wall from the start. It's a good tactic to do that, but a lot of the time I don't, because of how these red row gardens are. Sometimes the gardens are higher on the inside, so they sometimes want you to take it a bit higher on the bit higher, because the garden's higher on the inside than the wall is on the outside. But as a general rule of thumb, it's normally 1.8 from your pin curb to your contrasting brick, and then you got your contrasting brick and a 150 tile brick on edge. So you've got you got you've got 200 above 1.8. So you meet normally your wall comes to about 2 meters high. In general, but it sometimes can be higher depending on just the garden size, because obviously if your garden's getting retained so high with a wall, because on some of the hedgerow jobs I've been on, everything's on a hill, so there's like a mini retainer on round each house, and then you put a full size wall above that retaining wall. So they have to put proper full size scaffolds on. We still don't get a loading bay, but we get a bit of compensation for awkward loading and having to load everything off at wall. It's not great, but it's better than not having it. And doing this wall today at my day work, so can't fault us there. It's just a steady number, really, and you're making all your money on the bottom of the wall, and then if you're still making day work rate on the top, you're still you're not losing out, really. You're not losing out at all, and you're getting to finish your own wall. So I've got about another 3 of these to go at. Not anytime soon, in the next probably few weeks, but I've done another 3 of these walls. I've done two that have got 3 panels in, and I've built 2 of those 3 panels on 2 of the walls. So I've got one little panel left, and I've got one little panel left on 2 of the walls, which then I'll be ready for some tile brick on edge at some point in the near future. And then I've got another wall where I've only done 1 panel, but it's a big 4-paneler wall, so I'll have that to build at some point. I've got a funny feeling I'll be just doing a panel at a time, because they want me back to do a panel on it in a few days, and then there's still 2 panels to go out. So sometimes I have to do these walls in piecemeal. If I get to go out one straight all the way through, it's a lot better for myself. And then I've got another one where I've done 2 big panels on it, and I've got another panel left, another like a panel and a half. So there'll be a few more of these videos coming up doing this tile brick and edge. I'm going to probably go through how I do the pillar tops a bit more in depth. Obviously you haven't seen me laying them today. They're probably, in a nutshell, they're probably easier to build than the straight stuff, for the pure reason of you get to stay in one place. I find these long panels of brick on edge, they get boring. It gets boring laying that many brick on edge to a line. It's probably easier in one spot building them little pillar tops than it is, having to move about. Because I've done that many pillar tops now, I find them dead easy to do. But I've seen a lot of guys struggle on them, so I'm going to probably implement some tips when doing them pillar tops at some point. It's going to be probably a couple of weeks away, but I will end up doing some more again, because I've done a total of 1, 2. I've done 5. I've done 5 walls on this, since starting this YouTube channel on this site. I've topped 2 of them off, including, this one, which wasn't really mine. So I've topped 2 walls off so far, and there'll be another 3 to top off at least in the next month or 2. So there's going to be more tips when it comes to this, because it's something that puts a lot of guys off doing walls in garages. Well, not so much garages. There's no really downsides to them, but walls in general, especially if they have a detail like this on top. It's something that the gangs are dreading to do when they do a wall. They're dreading to do top of it. Some sites allow you to use trestles. Obviously, when I was first doing these, we were doing them off trestles, and it's probably a lot easier because you get to hit it all in 1 week. So whereas you could just do the wall all the way around, and then get it right up when you're working on it, and then stick your trestles on, and then finish it off in the same week. So even if it's a small 2 or 3 panel a day up, 3 days, then maybe 2 days to top it off, and then you're getting oat cream, and then you're getting a little bit of shit with it at the end of the week, but you're still doing it in the same week. Whereas with this, with scaffold in the walls, how a lot of sites are doing it now, you're getting all the cream in 1 week, and then you're having all the shit the next few weeks when you're having to top them all off. Because a lot of times, like myself being a bit lucky on this job, I've been just going from wall to wall, wall to garage, vice versa, doing an odd few top outs. I've had to cop for a few top outs, but generally, it's just been a lot of straight stuff, straight walling, and then now I'm gonna get a lot of fucking topping off, which is, gonna be sort of day work rate earnings, but it's gonna be week after week of doing brick on edge, it seems, because then the next few walls I've got to do, it's a probably minimum time of like a day to finish a lot of them, and then a good 2 to 3 days to top them off. Probably 2 days because I've took them quite high. So there's probably a good couple of weeks of tile brick and edge for me, and fucking about on these scaffolds. But I've told site manager to put them up higher, at least half a metre higher off at floor, and to make them an extra, at least a board wider to get your gear on, because and ideally at the roadside makes it easier, not having to pass it over the wall, and if they can put a little loading bay, whether it's just a little opening to get a pack of bricks on, even if you can't get bricks hang gobble on it, just a pack of bricks would be ideal, because we used on this wall about 400 red bricks, so I don't know how many, there's about 50 bricks, I don't know how many there is, but with the contrasting under the brick on edge and tiles, it's a lot of bricks to be lifting up with. So there's like 400 red bricks. There's probably like 400 of the contrasting bricks with all the bricks in the pillars. Fucking hell, it's a lot of gear. It's like best part of fucking 600-700 bricks to get up on a little 2-board scaffold. It's a nightmare. So that's the reason why I like to get a lot of the work done straight up. And yeah, so that's it. Just before I finish, obviously jointing up like this again, obviously it's a lot drier when we're jointing up. Normally in winter these are all piss wet, so you ended up jointing, and then when you've done all your jointing you've got to wait for a bit. But I always like to do all my brick and edge before I do my flaunching. Obviously in summer it's just a lot easier in general. In winter you've got to take your time a bit more. The only difference is it just looks a bit rougher at the end of the day. You can still make a neat job in winter with damper weather, but it just takes, you just have to be careful more in here. In summer you can just rad your jointer through it all. It's not going to make a mess. You can flaunch it straight after, and a lot of the time once you've flaunched it, by the time you've got your gear set up on the next panel, you can just go back and brush it because it's all ready to brush. As you can see here, it was quite dry, so I brushed it straight away on my brick on edge, then I flaunched it afterwards, but I didn't get very good footage of doing the flaunching, so I didn't include it. And just before I go, I don't actually put a joint between the tiles on any of these, they just go straight up to each other. I've seen guys putting joints on, I've done it before for years, and it just wastes time, don't look any good. Just put your tiles straight up to each other. You might have like a little line of gobble in between, but don't be putting a joint on, a waste of time. Especially in summer, in winter, it makes your tiles unstable. So I definitely recommend no perps in between your tiles. And then on this brick on edge as well, from this video, it looks pretty straight, but the camera can give it a little bit of an optical illusion. When it comes to your brick on edge, if you're when you're jointing up, you ideally want someone jointing the backside to where you're working. If the scaffold's high enough, you can joint overhand, which I have been doing before when I've been on my own. It's quite effective, sort of holding the joint like a pen or a pencil, and stroking the joints on the backside of the headers. Headers or the brick on edge backside face. And you can do your flaunching over the top as well. The only thing you've got to go around and do is in between your tiles and under your tiles. So that. Ideally, you want someone like I've got today, my old man pointing the backside. It does help a lot, especially in summer. And he's really slow at doing it. So even he makes it easier, and he's dead slow. So, but what will slow you down is the scaffold being low. So obviously, just be aware. I was surprised how long it took me today. I work until 4 o'clock, and then we had to spend half an hour getting all his gear in car because we're moving jobs for a few days. So, take that into consideration if you are doing this. If scaffolding high enough, before you even start, just tell them to make it higher. And if they won't do that, you need like a milk crate or something, or a hop up, and then expect yourself, being slowed down a good couple hours, because I expected this to be done at easily 3 o'clock, but we did lose a bit of time, obviously getting there late. So I was surprised it took me this long, but obviously you can see at the height I'm jointing up, and I'm at chest height doing the brick on edge. It's no good. You want to be above it. You want to be waist height ideally. So anyway, that's it. That's the video. We didn't really have a topic today. We just sort of purely talked about the work. A bit of my personal opinion at the beginning of the video. I tried to keep that to minimum. Just less people upset when I include my personal opinion. So yeah, we're using a little horsehair brush to brush these off. Obviously I mentioned earlier on in the video. But I think that's about it. You'll see this now. It looks like a pile of dry rubble on the top of the wall, but you'll see it come up nice now. And then I'll include a clip at the end of me sort of showing you how it looks on the face and stuff. Bear in mind this was done on price. I try and make a neat job, but I'm not a perfectionist when it comes to this stuff. The mortar were pretty shit today. It was going off quite quick. I didn't get it as neat. It wasn't probably the neatest I've ever done. But the last time I did this was probably a couple of months ago. I did this last time I did a sort of stretch on brick on edge. So probably a little bit a bit rusty when I came to doing this, but I'm going to aim next time I do this to try and make it a little bit neater. I wasn't rushing today in a sense, but I was trying to get it finished because I was sick of. I don't like to spend more than 3 days doing topping walls, and I'd already spent 2, so I just wanted to make sure I'd done it, and then to get off and get on some different types of work. So anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I will see you in tomorrow's episode. See you next time.